I can't find.
All right, so I'm going to start this right after I am officially. All right, we're going live in.
Oh, did you press share audio? I believe I have the correct one with the audio.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Strollo U class. I'm your host today, Tiffany McDaniel, and we are being joined with Annette Perry, and she's going to be teaching our self-care class. And today we're going to be doing kind bars and smoothies.
Woo! I'm excited.
Ready for some delicious treats that you can definitely stretch your Kind Bar boxes at home. Just gonna give you a little sneak peek of what we're doing today.
Mmm.
And we have some little chocolate balls. We have a little spread for your fruits. And the smoothie. So this is the prep. And I'm going to be showing you how to use a food processor and a blender to make all kinds of creations and add a little extra protein to a lot of your everyday goodies. Right, to start, I'll just say I love my nutritionist, and she has made sure I had every freaking type of Kind Bar. After a while, it gets a little unkind on my gums because those things are really hard. So I really love the breakfast bars too, because they're a little softer. But I found that adding them to my smoothie gave them a much bigger boost and gave me an alternative to sugars because they have a lot of dried fruit, especially in the dark cherry, dark chocolate cherry. One of my favorites. I actually ate all of them, so we'll have them today. I'm going to mainly be using the dark chocolate almond and also the breakfast protein bar that's with peanut butter and chocolate and banana. So to start with the smoothie, what you want to do is take your bar, you're going to break that up, and you're just going to put it in a jar with either water or milk, whatever you would normally put in your smoothies. This particular one in particular has water. You want to have some type of liquid to help and soften the nuts and some of the other harder ingredients so that when you put it in your blender, everything comes out nice and smooth. Unless you like it crunchy, that's up to you. But that helps. And of course, again, if you wanted to use milk, you want to maybe prep it overnight because it takes a little longer to break it down. Whereas the water may be like a couple hours. And you're gonna take this, drop it in your blender, and you can add all the other things you would normally put in your smoothie if you choose. It's gonna get a little loud, guys. Just let you know in advance. So normally in my smoothies, I just put water and the chocolate bar. Like I said, my chocolate bar of choice from Kind is the dark chocolate cherry, because it comes out for me like a just really rich chocolate milk. And after it's soaked overnight with milk, it's completely smooth. So I don't have any like chunks of nuts or anything. All that kind of turns into a butter once you blend it. It's gonna, I'm gonna be blending on high for about 30 seconds. Bear with me. So at this point, with this particular bar that has the almond and coconut, the coconut doesn't break down as much as it would, as much as the other ingredients for the other bars. So for this type of smoothie, I'm also gonna add a little bit of peanut butter and banana, because that's also another one of my favorites, banana peanut butter smoothies. If you would like, you can also still add your powders, flaxseed, anything else that you like to put in your smoothies normally, and to get also the texture you want. I know some people like this really heavy. I tend to kind of be in the middle, not too watery, not too heavy. So I'm just gonna add half a banana and 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Probably more than 2 tablespoons, but I really like peanut butter. Another reason why I also use water, depending on where I am, as well as wanting to add more calories, because depending on the type of milk you use, I normally use almond milk. The milk also, you know, has other additives and sugars you want to be mindful of, especially if you're diabetic or borderline diabetic. That's the smoothie. I also
Good.
like to freeze these guys, have a little, you know, self-serve treat, especially if you're using whole milk. That milk fat helps to also keep it nice and creamy. Great for hot summer days.
That's such a good idea.
If you like to make your own ice cream, this is another great base. So you can pre-make this, put in the fridge. Then when you do your fresh ice cream, you put your ice or your frozen bananas if you want to do, you know, no milk, or, you know, other people who tend to eat vegan or plant-based like to use fruit instead, frozen fruit. So you'll put that in first, drop this on top. So you kind of have that protein boost in your ice cream. I'm gonna put our smoothie to the side. And I'm gonna pull out the food processor. Now I had this forever. I hardly ever use my food processor. And now I'm like getting the opportunity, so yay.
Yeah.
That was really cheap. They're super loud. So make sure everyone in the house is already awakened. You can't use this sucker in the morning. It's not happening. Everyone's gonna want to kill you. Okay, so first thing I'm going to blend up is the same chocolate almond bar. I'm going to be making the chocolate balls. Now from my experimenting, initially I just kind of broke it down, made the balls. A lot of people felt like it was too mushy because once all the nut oils break down, it doesn't hold together as well. So
Mhm.
for the texture to have kind of the consistency of a cake pop, I roll them in flour. These are freshly done today, but if you you tend to do that method, once they sit for maybe like an hour or so, all of the flour will be absorbed and it will help to get, you know, a much tougher consistency, and it won't have like the white flour kind of dusting on top. It'll all be kind of sucked in. What I find with the bar, if the bar is really firm, you can kind of just kind of take your time shoving it on in. If it's a little soft, this one is a little softer because coconut oil tends to do that. I would pre-break it up, kind of crumble it up, because otherwise it'll just kind of sit on the top of the blades and not fall down to the bottom, which is really where you want the chopping to happen with the rest of the oats that are in the bar. I'm gonna break it up into medium-sized pieces. This also has a lot of honey in it to keep it together. Again, lots of sugar. You got the chocolate, you got the honey, you got the coconut. There's no need to add anything else to it, really. And this, breaking it up into the balls also, you know, helps to spread it out as far as, you know, taking your time eating something, having not as much of a shot at one time with all the sugar, which is something I find to be an issue. Having, you know, issues with diabetes as well. To kind of break it up, I'll have a couple of those. I can even like take a couple into a small container, put them in my purse, have them on the road, and then I'll have like my tea or my coffee. Great compliment. Okay, I'm gonna mute down because this is gonna get really loud.
That's awesome because I never would have thought to use my kind bars in this way because I also get them. Get a
Yeah, she
lot
has
of
a lot.
them. Yeah, 'cause it's
You've been
like,
giving
oh.
them to me.
Yeah, it's such great ideas.
Because now, like, you know, it gives me some ideas what to do with like all these oatmeal bars.
Yes.
And they're delicious on their own. It's just like, but now, like, you know, giving ideas to how to, like, you know, because like sometimes you just get tired of the same old bar. And now, like, you
Yes.
know, if you have like a lot of it, because like I guess like with you guys needing to supplement your diet so much, like they give you like tend to give you a lot of like, you
Oh
know,
yeah, boxes.
parts and stuff.
Cases,
So like you can keep
cases.
Yep.
and like, you know, recipes like this like shows you how to that you can like repurpose it and like, you know, still use it so nothing's going to waste, and like, you know, you find
Yeah.
different ways to, you know, enhance it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
out. I just want to give you a peek inside and tell you some other things. So I do still have a couple of chunks of nuts which I'll separate. But once I bring it down to this form, as you can see, it's pretty much crumbles with the dark cherry. I definitely got dry, really small granules. So much so, more like what you see at the kind of the top, but it's still kind of hanging to the bottom. And I took that and put it in pancake mix, and it was amazing.
Mm.
So yeah, definitely boosted, the pancake nutrition. That whole pancake game is different now. But once I get it to this point, I'll separate like the solid pieces just because like my daughter has really grown to like these. I don't really mind having like chunks of nuts, fine. But she kind of bites into it and wants it to just be like smooth and soft. So I just take those chunks out. Now with the rest of it, I kind of go back to kindergarten with it, Play-Doh, make it into all kinds of fun shapes. Like I do the ball sometimes, I'll let her kind of get down here with me and we just kind of have fun with it, get our gloves on, roll it into shapes, cut it up, get the cookie cutters, and then we'll dust it with the flour to kind of hold everything together, get it to the consistency we want. Let me just gonna do one more, smaller. I also have another set. So with these, if I choose to not use the flour, I'll make them into really, really tiny bites, kind of like this size or smaller, and I'll freeze them. And oh my gosh, the fun we have with those, because it's like little morsels. Once you pop them in your mouth, they just kind of melt, and it's almost like candy because they're already hard. Or if you eat Whoppers, kind of like that.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like your own homemade Whopper, and you have a lot to work with because they're so small. Definitely want to get them as tiny as possible. So you just like kind of pop them and go. And I also have taken them and put them on her waffles, making faces. Once it, gets warmer, especially if it's put on like a hot waffle, it'll just melt. So you have a little chocolate drizzle kind of effect going on. So yeah, lots of different little fun things. I'm gonna sprinkle a little flour. And then I'll just lightly roll it with my fingertips. You don't want to press too hard or it'll fall apart. I have different preferences in the home. So for some, I do use a lot. I'll like let it sit, come back, roll it again because they like it really firm. For me, not so much. I'll probably go one time. By the time that is all absorbed, it's a good consistency for me. It's definitely a practice.
Now I have a question. You can like substitute like the flour with like let's
Absolutely.
say
Go ahead.
let's say like a cornstarch or something that would like I think would like sort of do the same effect of flour, but
Yes, I would just be mindful of the starch in cornstarch.
yeah.
That's it. But I'm actually using an almond flour. You can use a white flour, a rice flour, whatever your preference is. I'm going to use the other portion to make the spread. I'm going to get which is not a big thing. This was the spread I showed you guys earlier for the apples. And it really basically just gives you like the consistency of a Nutella. It's just a little bit chunkier. If you like a little crunch, you have that in addition to everything else that was in that kind bar, which is a lot.
I'm definitely gonna have to send Jenny the recording of this because I see her.
So what I would do is just take, again, love peanut butter. So I would take, a tablespoon, depending on how much you're making, because you want it to stay creamy. If you leave it out, it'll break down. Like that chocolate will melt a little bit. And it'll just stay in that creamy state. I put everything in the fridge. And I don't want to wait for room temperature. So what I would do to maintain the creamy consistency is to put a little bit of avocado oil with it, which also adds to the fat content. And it's a good healthy fat. Kind of mix it in the top here. just going to that. A little bit of
Now, I never tried avocado oil. Is it like more of a neutral flavor?
honestly, I would say yes, because it's not like olive where it's very strong. This is not strong at all to me. I haven't had it on too many things plain. I usually use it to cook with because it has the smoke point and the burn point is really high. I don't too much fry, so I don't get to a point where I'm burning the oil. This is actually how my daughter prefers it. Really soupy, really spreadable, because she'll honestly just kind of lick it off and then eat the fruit. I like it a bit chunkier. Gonna put a little extra. Got a little flour in there, that's okay. And you can use a whisk or a spoon. I'm just using the spoon because I use it for the peanut butter. Really whip it in. And I feel like as you let it sit over time, because normally when I make one, it's maybe full. And this might take me maybe a week or two to even go through. By the time I get to the bottom, like so much has been absorbed and the actual nut has also like took on more moisture and expanded, it kind of changes and it just gets better. It's a good change.
Mm.
And so I just like, put a dab on my fruit. I've even had it on celery sticks. And I do, ants on the log with the peanut butter and the raisins. And this is pretty much the same concept because most of the Kind bars have dried fruit in them already. So it's just kind of spreading it all in one shot. Again, once you have processed it, I feel like the possibilities are endless because those little granules you can just drop into just about anything, adding that like those boosted nuts and protein.
So I have a question. Would you ever like use it as almost like a graham cracker crust?
I have not. That sounds like I'm thinking like you're talking about pie, right?
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
either like mini cheesecakes or tarts.
That sounds
Because like I feel like, if you get like raspberries, blackberries, like make like a tart with it, and you got that natural, like the sour taste of the fruit, of those tart fruit, and then you have like you make like a crust, almost like a graham cracker crust with like the Kind bars. Like you mix those two flavors together, and I'm just thinking about like having a party in my mouth.
Yes, I can taste it already. I'm definitely feeling I'm gonna try that with a cheesecake. Mostly because it's no bake. Definitely, I'm 50-50 when it comes to like cooking the Kind bar because you're kind of losing some of the nutrition.
Yeah.
And also it like depends on how much and what you're doing. Like when I did it with the pancake, of course, what's gonna come to the top is the nuts. Like if it's not, completely smooth. But I haven't baked, and that of course is gonna be a lower amount of time spent with heat. But I definitely quite easily you get to the consistency of the pie crust once you put it in the processor and add the flour. I can definitely see that with the cheesecake. I've done something similar with just the nuts and avocado to make an avocado bar. I can easily see that with a pie and way more nutritional content using the Kind bar as opposed to just, the graham cracker or just the nut. So yeah, we should do that next.
Yeah. A collaboration.
Yes, I'm so looking forward to that because I don't bake much, but yeah, I could definitely see a lot of applications for baking because it's just like once you break it down, you just toss it on in.
Kind Bar should sponsor us.
They sure should. I was thinking about that. I'm like, we should send this video in. Get another 10 cases of Kind Bar. Sure. Well, the breakfast bars, which are already pretty soft, I find you can easily just melt it down or chunk it off and boil it up the same way, just to kind of have something different. I also like to take the breakfast bar sometimes and crumble it on top of the smoothie, make it into almost a parfait.
Ooh.
A lot of different ways to work with that. And if you do like make the parfait, like a real parfait with it, I would definitely give it a little bit of time to sit with all the ingredients so that it sucks up some of the moisture and softens. And because I know some people like the dry granola. I don't like the dry granola so much. I like when everything is like in the parfait, like when you get it like from McDonald's or something, everything's already closed up.
Mhm.
Everything kind of already meshed together. All the flavors are like touching, and I just scoop it all up. Yeah, I'm not like crunching too much, just a little bit, just a little. But yeah, perfect for that. And they easily blend. Those you don't really have to soak so much. That's definitely on preference, but they go in the blender easily when it comes to like making a smoothie.
That is awesome. I never thought of like using my bars like that. I have broken up the breakfast bars into like my yogurt. I've done that, but I didn't think about all this. I've learned something.
Trust me, we're definitely going to be using this experimenting. I'm about to come over right now.
I see her mind going. She's like, so much.
I do too, and I'm like, I want to taste it all because I know she likes to cook. So I'll just be sitting there waiting to, I'll be the test dummy.
Yep.
I was just thinking about like taking the breakfast bars that I have, like shaping it into like almost like a mini bowl and putting my vegan ice cream and like eating it like that.
Oh yeah.
Cause I got vegan cherry and chocolate ice cream. It has like chocolate chips in it and stuff.
Awesome.
And I was thinking about like, making a bowl out of the breakfast one and like, all those flavors, because like, cherries, chocolate, and the oats, like,
Mini bites. Mini bites.
Mhm.
Do they have those like little, it's like a cupcake sheet, cupcake tray, but like the hard ones you can mold.
mhm.
Yeah, you can mold one of these into the minis, and then put the ice cream on top of that and have like little ice cream bites.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
I like
You see,
that.
I like how we think.
You think delicious.
That sounds amazing.
Mhm.
This was great. Like I love just bouncing ideas off of other people and seeing what they create. Like cooking and baking. I think that's why I love it so much, because there's so much you can do with a few ingredients, so many different things you can come up with. So this idea of taking our Kind bars, which we get so much of, and just changing it around into, there's so many things you can do with them now that I think about it. I'm like, how did I not think of this before? I was just eating them. Eating them and getting sick of them, and I'm like, I'm so sad now. But that's amazing.
But this actually came out of a lot of this, like you said, it's like so much, you don't know what to do with it. I actually had cake, a chocolate cake, and I was just tired of that cake, so I just threw it in the blender, and it was amazing. And like from then on, I kind of do that with everything, see what happens. the first one was a fail because I didn't soak it. I just kind of threw it in there, and it was just this crunchy, lumpy mess. So it's like, the fails are necessary. It's always good to keep experimenting. I've tried taking the breakfast bar, making an oatmeal out of it. Fail. I'm gonna keep trying with it, different techniques, but it just doesn't break down the same. And I do overnight oats a lot, so I tried it that way. Like I said, I try not to add heat to it because it's so rich already with everything we need. I don't want to break it down. But I'm gonna try again with like a milk, letting it sit, because that's like the whole point for me, to get it to a creamier state. And then it has, the chocolate, well, for this one in particular, it has the chocolate chunks. So we'll have to add some heat to kind of melt that down. But it's like the fails take me to the next step and the next step. And it's like, definitely you gotta just kind of try whatever's in the kitchen. And oh my gosh, I can't wait to try the pie crust. Oh my goodness. And I didn't think of that. Like, I'm over here molding stuff. Duh. Even like, I did try a cookie. Fail.
Oh,
I'm gonna try it again. So my next try, I'm gonna take cookie dough, already made cookie dough, and fold it in and see what that comes out like. The issue I had, because I don't really bake, so I really literally broke it down, shaped it, and threw it in the oven. It mostly burned, and because it just kind of like, I won't say dissolved, but it was nothing really in it other than the flour to keep it held together. I don't know nothing about cookie culture. I needed to have baking powder or something like that. I didn't even try. I just, let's see what happens. I know better now. But I'm gonna try with just like a regular cookie dough with each of the kind bars, just to see what the end result is first before I put all that extra effort in, if everybody really likes it. Because you can't just make one cookie. You gotta make
yeah.
a dozen at least, and everybody in the house has to try because it's a cookie. So I gotta make sure everybody else likes it too.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
I was
Have you
thinking
thought of like
probably-
with the making it into the cookie, like there's like there's a certain type of cookie where like you let the like when you add the chocolate chip like towards the end, and then like it kind of keeps its shape. You ever thought of like using, when you make like those chocolate balls, kind of making a cookie like that? You already have the cookie dough made, but it's like you're almost just like adding it on top, and then like it bakes into it, and so it doesn't burn off, it doesn't get burned, but it has like that cookie base already. So like it's just adding to the flavors.
That's what
Like
I'm
you
gonna.
would use like a regular sugar cookie base,
Yeah,
like less sugar, but like you already use like a just like a plain cookie base.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna try that. I like what you said too about popping them on top. If when you're doing that, do you do that in the beginning or like halfway?
It's like towards the end, because like you don't want it to like burn. You let it, you let the cookie set up a little bit, and then like then you put the blue.
Drop it on. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna make, in preparation, which I've just coming to me, working without the flour, just having just like you would do with cookie dough, kind of after you have processed it, make your, I guess, big ball or loaf and put it in the freezer. Break it up into small pieces if you can beforehand, so that you can try over a little bit of this, try a little bit of that, because then it's preserved, and then it's just a matter of letting it hit room temperature and then putting it where you want to put it. That's a really good idea. So I can like do all of those in a day. I'll take a couple of more of these, freeze them, and it's like, okay, I'll take a couple of these, a couple of those little frozen balls, put them in the pancakes, a couple of these, put them in a cookie. Because you can always take the flour and add it later once you have the base of just having it into the small balls or into a loaf. It's ready.
That's awesome. Now you made me hungry for some treats. So thanks for that. Uh, jealous. Uh, I'm definitely be trying those out later because that is so simple. I
Mhm.
love it.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
I definitely wanted to share it because it's super simple.
Hmm. And
Not too
even
many.
just having the spread, like that's a
Mhm.
nice little afternoon snack. Just
Yep.
pull it out the fridge. I would have to use like almond butter or something because I'm allergic
Yeah.
to peanuts. But but yeah,
It's
like making a
episode.
quick spread, that's kind of awesome. And again, so easy. Like who would think to just use those? It's three ingredients: a kind bar, your avocado oil, and then your peanut butter, almond butter, whatever type of butter.
Peanut butter.
Yeah. And honestly, like I said, the avocado oil is something I only recently added because I like mine a little looser. You don't really have to, depending on the bar that you use. Some of them have a bit more nuts, and once the food processor kind of heats it from all of the cutting, it'll give you oil on its own. It's just up to you, how spreadable you want it.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, you can even see when with the chocolate balls, if you have them like on a napkin or even like in a plastic dish, after a while, you'll see like a little oil stain coming out of it just from even the chocolate and the nuts that's in it, naturally producing. And I feel like also when you add, even if I've added water as well instead of oil, that works as well. But particularly with the soaking of the bar for the smoothie, um, just to remind people why they're doing that, to break it down, the nut, make it a little softer. It's also adding moisture to your gut because that also helps the digestion. Because when especially if you're on a high protein diet, you want to be putting in a lot of water, a lot of moisture.
Mhm.
That's good to know. I didn't realize. Yeah, I sometimes I don't pay attention much to to my diet and stuff. So it's great to hear like the breakdown of certain recipes and items.
That's Peanut. He had to make himself known. He's still good. Mm-mm. He's still good. You will put in the chat what you wanted to say so I can say it for you.
Her fur baby is so funny. Oh,
Okay. So what she wanted to say, she wanted to thank everyone for coming out to this class, and also we want you to check out our other classes at cflf.org/strolou. And thank you, Annette, for your class today, for giving us so much information about how to use kind bars and alternative recipes. And thank you everyone on our Facebook live stream who will be viewing this in the future or who are viewing it right now. And thank you to our sponsors, Nestle Health Science, Chiesi, and Viatris. And yes, everyone have a wonderful day, and we'll see you in our next class.
thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye. End the live.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
She just ran outside. I'm like, stop barking.
See, this is why you have to co-host.
Yes. Of course, right? Right when it ends, that's when the silliness begins. So stop recording.